The capture. The klaxons blared through Outpost Sigma, their shrill wails a harbinger of doom. Zara Chen, lead engineer of the Human Frontier Station, raced through the corridors, her heart pounding in sync with the flashing red emergency lights. She'd known this day might come, but nothing could truly prepare her for the reality of an alien invasion. Status report. Zara barked into her comm unit as she sprinted towards the command center. The station shuddered, rocked by another impact. "It's the cracks, ma'am," came the panicked reply of Ensign Torres. "3 warships. They've breached our outer defenses. We can't hold them off much longer." Zara cursed under her breath. The Cracks Empire, a militant alien regime that had been pushing deeper into human space for years. Diplomacy had failed, and now they were here, at humanity's furthest outpost. As she burst into the command center, chaos reigned. Screens flickered with damage reports and sensor data, while the crew worked frantically at their stations. Through the reinforced viewports, Zora could see the sleek, predatory shapes of Crack ships, their energy weapons lancing out to strike the station again and again. "Commander Chen," Captain Reeves called out, his usually composed demeanor cracking under the strain. "Thank God you're here. We need options, fast." Zara's mind raced. As an engineer, she knew every system, every strength and weakness of Outpost Sigma. But against this overwhelming force, their options were limited. "The reactor," she said, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. "If we overload it, we can create an electromagnetic pulse. It might disable their ships long enough for us to." Her words were cut off as a blinding flash filled the command center. When Zara's vision cleared, she found herself staring down the barrel of an alien weapon. The Cracks had teleported aboard. Towering over the humans, the Cracks were a sight to behold. Reptilian in appearance, with scales of deep crimson and piercing yellow eyes, they exuded an aura of cold, ruthless efficiency. Their armor seemed to shimmer and shift, adapting to the environment around them. "Surrender," the lead Cracks hissed, its voice a guttural rasp, "or be destroyed." Captain Reeves stood tall, placing himself between the aliens and his crew. "We are citizens of the United Earth Federation. We demand to be treated according to interstellar law." A blast from the Crack's weapon reduced the captain to ash before he could finish. Zara bit back a scream, her mind reeling from the sudden, brutal loss. "Your laws mean nothing to the Cracks Empire," the alien commander sneered. Its gaze swept the room, settling on Zara. You spoke of a reactor. You will come with us." As rough hands seized her, Zara's training kicked in. She lashed out, her fist connecting with the surprisingly soft underside of a Crack's jaw. The alien staggered back, more surprised than hurt. In that moment of confusion, Zora bolted for the emergency escape pods. She made it halfway down the corridor before a searing pain exploded in her back. As consciousness faded, Zara's last thought was of Earth, so far away, unaware of the danger that had just breached their furthest defenses. When Zara awoke, the sterile white of Outpost Sigma had been replaced by the oppressive, dimly lit interior of a Crack ship. She found herself restrained, surrounded by alien technology that hummed with barely contained energy. The air was thick and humid, clearly calibrated for Crack's physiology. "The human awakens," a voice growled. A Crack scientist loomed over her, its eyes gleaming with cold curiosity. Fascinating resilience. Most species would still be unconscious after a neural stunner at that setting. Zara met the alien's gaze defiantly. "What do you want from me? Where are the rest of my crew?" The Cracks made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your crew is irrelevant. Workers and soldiers easily replaced. But you showed initiative. Intelligence. The Cracks Empire values such traits, even in lesser species. We're not lesser," Zara spat. "Humanity will fight you." You'll do nothing," the Cracks interrupted. "Your outpost has been destroyed. As far as your people know, all hands were lost. You, Zara Chen, no longer exist to them. The words hit Zara like a physical blow. Destroyed. All of them. She thought of Captain Reeves, of Ensign Torres, of all the faces she'd come to know over her years on Outpost Sigma. Gone. Why keep me alive then? She asked, fighting to keep her voice from breaking. The crack scientist's mouth twisted into what passed for a smile in its species. Entertainment, of course. The Empire always needs new fodder for the arena. And who knows, perhaps you'll survive long enough to become something useful. As the full weight of her situation settled upon her, Zara felt a newfound determination rise within her. She was an engineer, a problem solver. More than that, she was human. And if these aliens thought humans were easy prey, they were in for a rude awakening. "Take me to your arena, then," Zara said, her voice steady and cold. "Let's see how entertained you'll be." The crack scientist's eyes narrowed, perhaps sensing the steel beneath Zara's words. But it made no difference. She was cargo now, a plaything for the Empire. As she was roughly ushered from the examination room, Zora's mind was already working, analyzing, planning. The cracks had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity, and Zara Chen was going to make sure they regretted it. The arena. The roar of the crowd was deafening as Zara was shoved into the blinding lights of the cracks arena. The vast amphitheater stretched out before her, filled with thousands of alien spectators, their scaled faces alight with bloodthirsty anticipation. The air was thick with the scent of alien spices and the metallic tang of freshly spilled blood. Zara squinted against the harsh illumination, her heart pounding in her chest. She'd spent the past week in a dimly lit holding cell, fed barely enough to keep her alive, all while trying to piece together some understanding of her captors. Now, standing in the arena's sandy pit, she felt painfully exposed. A booming voice echoed through the stadium, speaking in the harsh, guttural language of the cracks. A translator drone hovering nearby provided a running commentary in broken English. "Behold, loyal subjects of the Empire. Today we have a special treat. A human from the newly conquered frontier of space. Let us see how this soft, primitive creature fares against the might of Cracks engineering." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Zara clenched her fists, anger burning through her fear. Primitive. She'd show them primitive. A small hatch opened in the arena floor, and a cylindrical object rose from within. It looked almost comical. A metallic tube with various buttons and switches along its length. Zara's eyes widened as she recognized the design from old Earth entertainment vids. "Is that a lightsaber?" she muttered in disbelief. The announcer's voice boomed again. "We present the human with a weapon of her people's imagination, a fanciful toy from their primitive fiction. Let us see how well it serves her against a true warrior of the Empire." More laughter, cruel and mocking. But Zara wasn't listening. Her mind, honed by years of engineering challenges, was already dissecting the device before her. It was clearly of Cracks manufacture, but the design. It was as if they'd taken the concept from human entertainment and made it real. As Zora's hand closed around the hilt, a low hum filled the air. The crowd's laughter died down, replaced by murmurs of confusion. This wasn't supposed to happen. The toy wasn't meant to actually work, but work it did. With a snap hiss, a blade of pure energy erupted from the hilt, bathing Zara in its blue glow. She could feel the power thrumming through the weapon, the heat of the plasma blade warming her face. For a moment, the arena was silent. Then, with a roar of outrage, a massive door at the far end of the pit slid open. From the darkness beyond emerged a Cracks warrior, easily 8 feet tall, its body a rippling mass of muscle and scales. In its hands, it wielded a massive, crackling energy axe. "The human has surprises," the announcer cried, a note of excitement creeping into its voice. "But can she stand against Groktar, undefeated champion of the Southern Quadrant?" Groktar charged, his heavy footfalls shaking the arena floor. Zara's mind raced, analyzing the situation with the cold logic of an engineer facing a complex problem. The lightsaber was lighter than she expected, perfectly balanced. As Groktar's axe swung down in a killing arc, Zura moved on instinct. The blade of the lightsaber met the energy field of the axe with a spectacular shower of sparks. The crowd gasped. Groktar's yellow eyes widened in shock. Zara allowed herself a small, grim smile. Surprised, she taunted, her voice carrying across the arena. This primitive might just have a few tricks up her sleeve. Groktar snarled and pressed his attack, but Zara was already moving. Years of zero-G maintenance work had honed her agility and spatial awareness. She ducked and weaved, the lightsaber humming as it parried blow after blow. As the battle raged on, Zora's analytical mind never stopped working. She noted how Groktar favored his left side, how his axe left him open after each mighty swing. And with each observation, she formulated a plan. The crowd's mood shifted as the fight progressed. What had started as mockery turned to grudging respect, then to genuine excitement. Here was a spectacle they hadn't expected, a human, armed with a weapon of fiction, holding her own against one of their mightiest warriors. Zara felt her muscles burning, her lungs heaving with exertion. But she also felt something else, a fierce joy, a defiance that burned brighter with each passing moment. She was humanity's representative here, in this alien coliseum, and she would show them exactly what humans were capable of. With a roar of her own, Zara launched into a flurry of attacks. The lightsaber became a blur of blue energy, striking at Groktar's weaknesses with surgical precision. The Crack's champion, unused to an opponent who could match his speed and strength, began to falter. In a final, desperate gambit, Groktar raised his axe high, leaving himself completely open. It was the moment Zara had been waiting for. She lunged forward, the lightsaber plunging deep into the Crack's warrior's chest. Groktar's eyes widened in disbelief. The mighty axe fell from nerveless fingers as he stumbled backward, then collapsed to the arena floor with a resounding thud. Silence fell over the arena. Zara stood over her fallen opponent, chest heaving, the lightsaber still humming in her grasp. Then, from somewhere in the stands, a single voice cried out in appreciation. It was joined by another, then another, until the entire arena was filled with a thunderous roar of approval. The announcer's voice, when it came, was tinged with awe. Unbelievable. The human stands victorious. Groktar, pride of the Empire, has fallen to this unexpected warrior. As the crowd's cheers washed over her, Zara raised the lightsaber high. Let them see, she thought fiercely. Let them all see what humanity can do. But even as she savored her victory, Zara knew this was only the beginning. She had survived, yes, but she had also made herself a target. The Cracks would not take this humiliation lightly. They would come at her with everything they had. As she was led from the arena, her mind was already working on her next move. She had proven humanity's worth in combat. Now it was time to show them the true extent of human ingenuity. The game had changed, and Zara Chen was just getting started. Rising champion. In the weeks that followed her shocking victory over Groktar, Zora's life became a blur of combat and calculation. The Cracks, both furious and fascinated by her success, pitted her against increasingly difficult opponents. Each fight was a test of not just her growing skill with the lightsaber, but of her quick thinking and adaptability. The arena became Zora's laboratory, each battle an experiment in pushing the limits of human potential. She faced creatures that seemed to defy the laws of physics, a gelatinous mass that absorbed energy attacks, a being made of living stone, even a swarm of metal-eating insects that threatened to devour her weapon. But with each challenge, Zora's mind worked overtime. She analyzed, adapted, and overcame. The gelatinous creature was defeated when she used the lightsaber to superheat the air around it, causing it to evaporate. The stone being crumbled when she discovered and exploited the frequency of its molecular bonds. And the metal-eating swarm. Zara rigged her lightsaber to emit an electromagnetic pulse, shorting out the insect's hive mind. As her list of victories grew, so did her notoriety. The crowds that had once jeered now chanted her name. Zora, Zora. The sound echoed through the arena, a testament to her growing legend. But it wasn't just the common spectators who took notice. In the upper echelons of the arena, behind screens of one-way glass, the Crack's elite watched with growing concern. "This human is becoming a problem," hissed Grand Executor Vexkar, his claws tapping an impatient rhythm on the arm of his gravity throne. "She inspires hope in the lesser species. Hope leads to rebellion." Beside him, Chief Scientist Zillax nodded, her scaled brow furrowed in thought. "Indeed, but she also presents an opportunity. Her adaptability, her problem-solving skills. These are traits we could use." Vexkar's yellow eyes narrowed. "Explain." "Imagine," Zillax said, her voice low and eager, "if we could harness that human ingenuity. Not just this one specimen, but her entire species. They could be the key to solving problems that have plagued our empire for generations." The Grand Executor considered this for a long moment. "And how do you propose we harness this potential?" Zillax's mouth twisted into a cold smile. "We break her, of course. Show her and all who watch that even the mightiest human can be brought to heel by the Crack's empire." Down in the arena, oblivious to the plotting above, Zara faced her latest challenger. This one was different. A Crack's warrior, but unlike any she had faced before. Its movements were smooth, calculated, almost familiar. As they circled each other, the warrior spoke, its voice low enough that only Zara could hear. "Impressive human. You fight with the skill of a trained soldier." Zara's eyes widened in surprise. This was new. None of her previous opponents had tried to engage her in conversation. "I'm an engineer, actually," she replied, parrying the swift strike. "Just very motivated to stay alive." The Crack's warrior nodded, almost approvingly. "An engineer. Fascinating. I am Krazak, once chief of weapons development for the Empire. Now, like you, I am but entertainment for the masses." Their battle continued, a deadly dance of energy blades and quick reflexes. But as they fought, they talked. Krazak spoke of the Empire's technology, of advancements that made Zora's mind reel with possibilities. In turn, she shared insights from human engineering, concepts that made the former weapons chief's eyes gleam with interest. As their duel reached its climax, Krazak leaned in close during a blade lock. "You've earned my respect, Zora of Earth. Remember this, not all Cracks think alike. There are those of us who see the potential in cooperation rather than subjugation. Stay alive, stay strong. Change is coming." With that cryptic message, Krazak left an opening in his defense. Whether intentional or not, Zora couldn't be sure. But she took the opportunity, ending the fight with a swift, non-lethal strike. As the crowd roared its approval, Zora's mind was awhirl with new possibilities. She had assumed all Cracks were her enemies, but Krazak's words suggested otherwise. Could there be allies among her captors? But before she could ponder this further, a new announcement boomed through the arena. "Zora of Earth, your victories have pleased the Grand Executor. You are granted the honor of a personal audience. Prepare yourself, human champion. The true test is yet to come." As Zora was led away from the arena, her heart raced not with fear, but with anticipation. This audience could be an opportunity to learn more, to possibly find a way to turn the tables on her captors. Whatever the Grand Executor had planned, Zora was determined to face it head-on. Little did she know, high above in their private chambers, Vexkar and Zillax were putting the final touches on a plan that would push Zora to her absolute limits. A plan that would either break her completely or elevate her to heights no human had ever reached in Crack society. The game was evolving, the stakes rising, and Zora, armed with her lightsaber and her indomitable human spirit, was ready to play. The rebellion. The Grand Executor's chamber was a study in opulence and intimidation. Massive view screens displayed star systems and battle plans, while trophies from 100 conquered worlds lined the walls. Zara stood before Vexcar, her posture defiant despite the armed guards flanking her. Impressive, human. Vexcar's voice was a low rumble. You've survived longer than any of us expected. But now, it's time to prove your true worth to the Empire. Zara's eyes narrowed. I'm not interested in being useful to you. I want freedom. For myself and for Earth. Vexcar's laugh was cold and mirthless. Bold words, but you fail to grasp the bigger picture. Your planet, your entire species, they're already ours. The question is whether you'll be slaves or valuable assets. With a gesture, he activated a holographic display. Zara's breath caught in her throat as she saw images of Earth, of human cities now occupied by Crack's forces. Impossible, she whispered. Our defenses, our fleets, were nothing compared to the might of the Empire. Vexcar finished. But here's where you come in, Zara of Earth. Your ingenuity, your adaptability. These are traits we value. Serve the Empire willingly, and your people will be treated well. Refuse, and well. He let the threat hang in the air. Zara's mind raced. Was he telling the truth about Earth, or was this an elaborate bluff? Either way, she needed to play along, to buy time. What exactly do you want from me? She asked, careful to keep her voice neutral. Vexcar smiled, revealing rows of sharp teeth. A test. One final challenge to prove your worth. Succeed, and you'll earn a place of honor in the Empire. Fail, and you'll wish we had killed you in the arena. Before Zara could respond, a side door hissed open. In walked Chief Scientist Zilax, followed by a familiar face. Krazak, the Crack's warrior she had fought and spoken with in the arena. Before Zara could respond, a side door hissed open. In walked Chief Scientist Zilax, followed by a familiar face. Krazak, the Crack's warrior she had fought and spoken with in the arena. Krazak here claims to have seen potential in you, Zilax explained, her voice dripping with disdain. He believes you could be the key to a new era of Crack's dominance. I, however, remain unconvinced. Zara's eyes met Krazak's, searching for any hint of their previous understanding. His expression remained impassive, but there was a glimmer of something in his eyes, a warning, perhaps. Your challenge, Vexcar continued, is to improve upon our most advanced weapon systems. You have one cycle to produce results that impress us. Succeed, and you'll have proven your species' worth. Fail, and we'll have no further use for humans, starting with you. With that, Zara was escorted to a high-security laboratory. The technology she saw there was beyond anything she had encountered on Earth. Matter manipulators, quantum computers, energy sources that defied her understanding of physics. As the door sealed behind her, leaving her alone with the alien tech, Zara took a deep breath. This was it, her chance to either save humanity or doom it. But as she approached the workstation, a plan began to form in her mind. The Cracks had given her access to their most advanced systems, if she could just find a way to turn that against them. Hours passed in a blur of calculations and experiments. Zara pushed herself to the limit, drawing on every scrap of knowledge and intuition she possessed. She made breakthrough after breakthrough, each one bringing her closer to her hidden goal. Just as she was putting the finishing touches on her project, the door slid open. Krazak entered, his expression grim. "Time's up, human," he said loudly, then lowered his voice to a whisper. "Whatever you're planning, do it now. There's unrest in the lower levels. Your victories have inspired many. This could be our only chance." Zara nodded, her heart pounding. With a final keystroke, she activated her creation. Alarms blared throughout the facility as systems began to malfunction. Force fields flickered and died. Doors that had kept thousands of alien prisoners locked away slid open. "What have you done?" Vexcar's enraged voice boomed over the intercom. Zara grabbed her lightsaber, igniting it with a familiar snap hiss. "I've given the Empire an upgrade, all right," she said, unable to keep the fierce grin from her face. "An upgrade in chaos." Krazak drew his own weapon, standing beside her. "You've started a rebellion." Zara of Earth, I hope you're ready for what comes next. Together, they raced from the lab, joining the tide of freed prisoners flooding the corridors. Aliens of all species, once enemies in the arena, now fought side by side against their crack suppressors. As they battled their way toward the station's control center, Zara saw the fruits of her labor everywhere. Crack's weapons backfired, turning against their wielders. Security systems glitched, trapping Crack soldiers behind their own force fields. How did you manage all this? Krazak asked as they fought off a group of guards. Zara parried a blast with her lightsaber, her mind still racing with possibilities. I didn't just improve your weapons, she explained between breaths. I created a virus, integrated it into every system I could access. It's rewriting the station's code as we speak, turning everything against the Empire. Krazak's eyes widened with newfound respect. Remarkable. You may have just changed the course of galactic history. As they neared the control center, they encountered heavier resistance. Crack's elite guards, armed with weapons Zora hadn't yet countered, blocked their path. The rebels around them began to falter, outmatched by superior firepower. Zara knew they needed something more, a symbol to rally around. In that moment of desperation, she raised her lightsaber high. "Everyone who can hear me," she shouted, her voice carrying over the chaos of battle. "Remember why we fight. Not just for ourselves, but for every species the Empire has ever oppressed. Human, cracks, or anything in between. Today, we stand together. Today, we prove that unity is stronger than tyranny." Her words, translated and relayed through the station speakers by her virus, ignited a new fire in the rebels. With a mighty roar, they surged forward, overwhelming the Crack's defenses. As Zara and Krazak finally breached the control center, they found Vexkar and Zilex frantically trying to regain control of the station. The look of shock and fear on their faces was all the victory Zora needed. "It's over," she said, leveling her lightsaber at Vexkar. "Your empire ends here." The Grand Executor's eyes blazed with hatred. "You think this changes anything? We still hold Earth, 1,000 other worlds. This station is nothing." Zara's smile was cold and determined. "This station is just the beginning. Your conquest of Earth, that was a lie, wasn't it? Just another attempt to break me. But you've given us something far more valuable than a single planet. You've given us hope and the means to spread it across the galaxy." As Krazak moved to secure the Crack's leaders, Zara turned to the station's main communication array. With a few quick commands, she began broadcasting on all frequencies. To every being under Crack suppression, she began, her voice steady and clear. "This is Zora Chen of Earth. The Empire is not invincible. We've taken control of one of their major stations, and we have the means to do the same across Crack space. If you can hear this, know that hope is not lost. The rebellion has begun." As her message echoed across the stars, Zara knew the real fight was just beginning. But looking at the diverse group of aliens around her, former gladiators now united in a common cause, she felt a surge of optimism. The Cracks had sought to exploit human ingenuity. Instead, they had unleashed it, not just in Zara, but in every species they had underestimated. The galaxy would never be the same. A new alliance. The days following the rebellion on the Crack station were a whirlwind of activity. Zara's virus, now dubbed the Freedom Code by the rebels, spread through Crack's communication networks like wildfire. Everywhere it touched, oppressed species rose up, turning the Empire's own technology against it. Zara found herself at the center of a rapidly growing interstellar alliance. The command center of the former Crack station, now renamed Liberty Point, became the heart of the rebellion. Representatives from dozens of species, once pitted against each other in the arena, now worked side by side to coordinate their efforts. "We've received word from the Trilaxian sector," reported Greg, a spindly alien with multifaceted eyes. 3 more Crack's outposts have fallen. They're requesting assistance to secure their gains." Zara nodded, studying the holographic map before her. Pinpoints of light representing liberated systems were spreading across cracked space like a constellation of hope. Send them the latest version of the Freedom Code, and ask the Volcarin if they can spare any ships to reinforce the area. As Grek hurried off, Krazek approached. The former Krax weapons chief had become one of Zora's most trusted advisors, his insider knowledge of the Empire proving invaluable. "You should be proud, Zora," he said, his voice filled with genuine admiration. "In a matter of weeks, you've accomplished what many thought impossible. The Krax Empire is crumbling." Zora allowed herself a small smile, but her eyes remained focused on the map. "It's not over yet. Vexkar and the Krax High Command are still out there, regrouping. And we still haven't made contact with Earth." As if on cue, an alarm blared through the command center. A new signal was breaking through their communication channels, originating from a sector near the edge of known space. It's an Earth frequency," exclaimed Lyra, a blue-skinned Asari manning the communications array. "They're hailing us." Zara's heart leaped into her throat. After all this time, could it really be? "Put it through," she ordered, her voice barely above a whisper. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the bridge of a human starship. In the center stood a woman in a crisp uniform, her weathered face breaking into a smile of relief. "This is Admiral Helena Cho of the Earth Defense Force. We're responding to a distress signal sent months ago from Outpost Sigma. Is anyone there?" For a moment, Zara couldn't speak. The sight of a human face, the sound of English after so long, overwhelmed her. Finally, she found her voice. "Admiral Cho, this is Zara Chen, former chief engineer of Outpost Sigma. You have no idea how good it is to see you." The next hours were a flurry of explanations and revelations. Earth, it turned out, had not fallen to the cracks. The invasion Vexkar had shown Zara was indeed a lie, a psychological tactic to break her spirit. In reality, humanity had rallied after the loss of Outpost Sigma, mobilizing its forces and pushing back against Krax incursions. Admiral Cho listened in amazement as Zara recounted her journey from captive to gladiator to rebel leader. The alliance of species she had forged, the freedom code that was dismantling the Krax Empire from within. It was beyond anything Earth's leaders had imagined possible. "Ms. Chen," Admiral Cho said, her voice filled with pride and awe, "you've not only survived, you've changed the course of galactic history. Earth stands ready to join your alliance and offer whatever support we can." The news of Earth's arrival spread quickly through Liberty Point. Cheers echoed through the corridors as beings of all species celebrated this new hope. But for Zara, the real work was just beginning. In the days that followed, Liberty Point became the site of historic negotiations. Representatives from Earth met with leaders of the newly liberated worlds, forging agreements and laying the groundwork for a new galactic community. Zara found herself at the center of it all, bridging the gap between human and alien, her experiences in both worlds proving invaluable. The lightsaber that had once been a tool for survival in the arena now stood as a symbol of unity, a reminder of what could be achieved when different cultures and technologies came together. One evening, as the latest round of talks concluded, Zara stood before the station's main viewport. The stars stretched out before her, each one holding the promise of new adventures, new challenges to overcome. Krazek joined her, his reflection appearing beside hers in the transparent alloy. "What are you thinking?" he asked softly. Zara was quiet for a moment, collecting her thoughts. "I'm thinking about how much has changed. A few months ago, I was an engineer on a small outpost, never dreaming I'd see anything beyond our solar system. Now," she gestured at the stars, at the bustling activity of the station around them. "Now we're building something that could reshape the galaxy." Krazak nodded thoughtfully. "The Krax sought to conquer through force, to stamp out diversity. But you've shown us a different path. Unity through cooperation, strength through shared knowledge." "It won't be easy," Zora mused. "There's still so much distrust, So many wounds to heal. And the remnants of the Krax Empire are still out there, no doubt planning their revenge. True, Krasek agreed. But look at what you've already accomplished. You turned a gladiator's arena into the birthplace of a revolution. You've united species that once saw each other only as enemies. Whatever challenges lie ahead, I believe this alliance can face them. Zara's hand unconsciously went to the lightsaber at her hip. From a prop meant to mock her, it had become a symbol of hope for billions. "You're right," she said, a new determination filling her voice. "Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. Human ingenuity, Krax strength, Asari wisdom, and 100 other gifts from 100 other worlds." As if to punctuate her words, a ship emerged from lightspeed in the distance. It was an Earth vessel, one of many now joining the Alliance fleet. Zara watched it approach, a tangible reminder of how far she'd come and the incredible journey still ahead. The Krax had sought to exploit human potential. Instead, they had unleashed it, not just in Zara, but across the galaxy. As she stood there, watching the Alliance grow stronger by the day, Zara Chen knew that the greatest adventures were still to come. The stars beckoned, full of challenges and wonders, and humanity, no longer alone, was ready to answer the call.